Hey everybody, this is a layout that I've done. I'm using the Random Collection by Crepe Paper. That's a pretty old collection, but I like it. Really love old crepe paper. Um, these are photographs of my horses. That little baby there is about 6 weeks old and his mama had just died. And the other two horses really step up and become his parents. They constantly kept him between them. Every time you would look out at the pasture, he would be situated between them. And that's just the way that horses protect each other in the herd. And so I was just so blessed to have these two horses who basically took over his care. That's a cut that I made on my silhouette, and I made it in two cuts and I have to put them together. I suppose I could have made it in one, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do with it at the time. So I'm trying to fit it into this section here because I want to make a sidebar there. And I'm thinking about it. What am I going to do? And I'm getting it lined up and thinking about how to get it lined up. And I decide that I'm going to back each of the different sections with a different color of the pattern paper. I've seen that done a lot recently. I sped this up very, very fast because it took me quite a while to do this process. And, you know, it's a little bit like watching paint dry. This was a difficult layout for me to do. His mother was very, very special to me. She was a phenomenal and beautiful mare, and she died very, very suddenly. We think that she had an aneurysm. It can happen that aneurysms can occur, and the pregnancy itself can kind of press on them and prevent the horse from having issues. And then as the uterus recedes and their bodies go back to normal, the aneurysm is then exposed. And it's always fatal. So, and it's something that you don't really know. It's not like in humans, they don't, you know, I mean, she seemed fine. She ate her breakfast and she was fine. And then my husband went out to walk the dog and she was gone. So it was really hard for me. This was the first time I had had a foal since I was a child. I had some foals when I was young, but as an adult, this was the first time I bred a mare, and now I'm a little gun shy, to be honest. That other mare that's in the picture that's taking care of my baby, she's even more special to me, and I had thought to breed her, and I don't know whether I'll ever even do it now, even though she's a very, very special mare and worth breeding. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'm working on applying all these little pieces to the back. And I love the effect that it gives. It is just really neat. I really, really like it. I did have a bit of trouble with the glue seeping through, and I tried a couple methods. You saw me first time just apply it. And then with the second half, I used a little paintbrush to apply it. It still got a little on the front, but not as bad. But luckily, this PVA glue dries really, really, it dries matte and clear. So it doesn't leave a lot of residue on the front. This little horse's name is Hawk. And he's a Morgan. All of my horses are Morgans, except for the Welsh pony that I got for my daughter. And I really, really love this breed. And so it was important to me that when I got a horse with excellent breeding like his mother, to go ahead and breed her. So he represents a lot to me. And he's a really cool and special little boy. He has a lot of spunk and he's a sweet boy. He's turned out to be just a really fabulous, wonderful, wonderful baby. I'm moving these around and trying to see where I'm going to situate all these parts. I also made that title on my silhouette. Almost all of these are silhouette cuts. There's a tag that I put up there that's the silhouette. And I cut them both out of the same, I made an offset for the parents part and I welded that all together. And I knew, I cut it all out of the brown, but I knew that I was going to paint it a different color. And I wanted that kind of splotchy, painted look on the word parents, so I was happy to have that. And I decided to paint it the same green as the background behind the photo. I really like how this photo, I stacked those photos and they're long and thin like that. It's kind of neat. And it makes a square. I like that. So I'm just attaching the word parents to the shadow section on my title thing. And you can't see it, I think, so much in the in the video, but it is a little bit splotchy, but I like that look. So then I decide I want to stamp this picture, this stamp of this herd of horses, because it's really about him becoming part of the herd. And how herds protect each other. So I use the Creamy Caramel. It's an old Stampin' Up! Ink that I don't think they have anymore, but I liked it because it's really, really pale, and it's going to allow me to write my journaling over the top. It's just a subtle background piece. So now I'm actually going to go ahead and glue the pieces down. And I glue down the long strip that I've created. Sorry about my dogs in the background there. And I go off to sew it down. So you can see where I've sewed the lines for the journaling and along the edge, and then I sewed around the edge of the picture. And I saw Jen Show do that today, and I felt like I had the journaling where she sewed lines for her journaling, and I just loved it, and I thought, I've got to do that. So that's actually what inspired me to start this layout, was seeing her do that. I'm just fiddling with the positioning again. I decided to add some quotes to the layout, to stamp some quotes. I stamp them with VersaFine. And the first quote says, "It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good." And the second quote I stamp at the top says, "Where there is no struggle, there is no strength." That's been a big and important stamp for me this year, because there's been a lot. 2016 was a year full of struggle for us. We were living with my sister when this little horse was born, and then his mother died. And we'd been living with family for a year and a half, and we are finally now living in our own home, and so happy to be there. But it's been a difficult time for us. So that tag gave me fits. I didn't want it to cover those horses, and then I figured it out. Oh, I could put it on the side, and then it all came together. And I loved how it allowed the title to sort of fall off of the picture too. So it was like the Zen moment, and I knew it was right. So, and then it comes together very quickly after that. And I glue everything down. Down goes the title. I love PVA glue. It's not something you can find in normal scrapbooking stores. Not even Michael's carries it. You have to go to an art store. It's specifically made for bookbinding, and you'll find it in the bookbinding section. And I love it because it sticks good, but it has a fairly good working time. Like, it doesn't dry immediately. I find that I live in a very dry climate. Let me preface with that. It's almost a desert, and Scotch quick dry dries too quick for me. So PVA allows me to work with it for a bit. There is a brad that I wanted to finish off that little hole, and I found that in my stash. It's brass colored, and then I just put a little tape over the back. And that will be it. Here's the close-ups. These pictures are so bittersweet for me. All right, thanks. Have a great day.